They grew up like brothers, Javontay Hargrove, the rap messiah of Baton Rouge, and Lemarcus Holt, a decorated detective with a badge and a Bible. From double Dutch tournaments to dirt-stained basketball courts, their bond was forged in the fire of a neighborhood that chewed up dreams and spat them out. But on one unassuming March night, inside a hollowed-out gym where they once hooped as kids, that bond was shattered. A hug turned into homicide. 3 shots, one in the chest, one in the neck, one right through the eye. And just before pulling the trigger, Lemarcus whispered, "This is what you get." What kind of friendship ends like that? Can love, envy, and betrayal exist in the same heartbeat? How does a relationship built on loyalty and decades of shared struggle unravel into cold-blooded murder? And what happens when your worst enemy wears the face of your best friend? Before we unravel this disturbing tale of obsession, betrayal, and brutal execution, like this video and subscribe for more stories that dig deep into the darkest parts of the human heart. Javontay Hargrove, known to the world as Vonny Vibes, wasn't just another rapper trying to claw his way out of Baton Rouge, he was Baton Rouge. At 27 years old, his name rang bells from the block to Billboard. His lyrics weren't just rhymes, they were war cries, poetry soaked in pain, truth wrapped in trauma, messages that made even gangsters sit still and listen. He spoke for the kids with empty fridges and loaded pistols, for the mamas who cried into the night hoping their sons would make it home. His freestyle in 2021 about police brutality hit like a sermon, no hook, no gimmicks, just fire and fury. It exploded online, turned him into a viral phenomenon overnight. And when that record label contract came, it wasn't just for the money. It was a symbol. The South had found its next prophet, a new Kendrick, a voice that couldn't be ignored. But Vonny wasn't born into luxury or luck. He grew up in a shotgun house with 3 siblings and 1 working light bulb. While most kids in the hood learned how to fight or hustle, Javontay learned how to write. He filled marble notebooks with bars while his uncles counted drug money in the next room. Music was his lifeline. His escape. His armor. And through it all, there was one constant, Lemarcus. Lemarcus DeShawn Holt, also 27, had been his best friend since they were 6. They met at a backyard barbecue, sharing a plate of ribs and a beat-up basketball. From then on, they were inseparable. Same block. Same school. Same after-school fights, same empty wallets, same dreams of getting out. Lemarcus was the quiet one. Always observing, always thinking. He wasn't about that street life, never wanted it. His pops did 10 years on a gun charge, and Lemarcus swore he'd never end up like that. So, while Vonny poured his soul into mixtapes, Lemarcus studied criminal justice at a community college. He joined the Baton Rouge Police Department at 23, proud and full of purpose, promising to be the kind of cop that actually made a difference. A clean cop, the news called him. A rare breed. Their friendship became a symbol. Local newspapers loved the story, the rapper and the cop. Street and badge. 2 sons of the struggle who took different paths but never let that divide them. They were featured in community events, school talks, even a documentary pilot. People said it gave them hope, that maybe the hood could heal. That maybe loyalty could bridge the gap between justice and rebellion. But what the public didn't see, what nobody saw, was the storm slowly brewing beneath all that praise. Behind the Instagram photos and staged smiles, there was something darker. Something bitter. Lemarcus watched Vonny shine, headline shows, take private jets to LA. Meanwhile, he wrote parking tickets and broke up domestic disputes. People started asking Lemarcus for favors not because of him, but because he was Vonny's boy. And for a man in uniform, that pride turned to poison real quick. Still, Lemarcus kept the act up. Dapped up Vonny at cookouts. Commented fire emojis under his posts. Even pulled strings to get Vonny's brother out of a weed charge. But deep down, something in Lemarcus had shifted. Admiration curdled into envy. The line between brotherhood and bitterness was fading, fast. And Vonny? He had no clue. He was too busy making music, making moves, and, unknowingly, making enemies too close to see. Success can feel like sunlight when you've been cold your whole life, but it burns when you're stuck in the shadows watching someone else shine. Vonny Vibes was everywhere: BET interviews, award shows, riding in Sprinter vans with tinted windows and groupies waving from the sidewalk. He was on magazine covers with gold grills flashing and black excellence stitched into designer jackets. Every word he spit became a headline. Every outfit, a statement. Meanwhile, Lemarcus Holt sat in a creaky desk chair in the back of the 9th precinct, filling out paperwork and getting cussed out by teenagers he used to babysit. The same neighborhood that once praised him now whispered behind his back. Called him a sellout. A traitor. The same boys who cheered Vonny's name at block parties were the ones giving Lemarcus the side-eye during traffic stops. It wasn't just jealousy, it was humiliation. Vonny's song started biting harder. Talking about crooked cops and badge wearers who betray the hood for a pension. Lemarcus knew it wasn't about him, not directly, but it still stung. Every lyric that hit the charts felt like a slap to his face. How could the same boy he once shared a bunk bed with write bars that made people question his loyalty? And the worst part? He couldn't respond. What was he gonna do, drop a diss track in uniform? Still, Lemarcus told himself it would pass. That maybe he was being sensitive. That their bond was still there, just buried under time and fame. But then came her. Marletta. She wasn't just beautiful, she was breathtaking. A nurse at Baton Rouge General with cheekbones that could slice glass and a mouth full of opinions she wasn't afraid to use. Lemarcus had been with her for 3 years, had a ring tucked away in a sock drawer, waiting for the right moment. She was supposed to be his anchor. His peace. His future. But peace don't mix well with secrets. It started small. A chance encounter. Vonny came to the ER after a video shoot ended with a shattered bottle and a slice down his forearm. Lemarcus was on night duty and asked Marletta to keep an eye on him. Nothing major, just a favor. But something happened in that hospital room. Something cracked open between bandages and late-night small talk. Vonny was vulnerable in a way the world never saw. And Marletta, tired of playing nurse at home and caretaker at work, saw something in him that Lemarcus had long since stopped giving her: passion. Fire. The affair lit fast. 6 months of stolen time. Cheap hotel rooms just outside city limits. Secret texts deleted before sunrise. Passionate arguments that ended with tangled sheets and empty promises. Marletta said she loved both of them, but Vonny was her escape. They made plans: Atlanta, a new apartment, maybe even a baby. She said Lemarcus was too cold, too controlled. Said she wanted to feel alive. Vonny said he'd protect her. But protection ain't easy when the devil's already inside the house. Lemarcus felt it before he saw it. Marletta was distracted. Distant. She started working extra shifts, but came home smelling like hotel soap. Her smiles stopped reaching her eyes. So Lemarcus did what any wounded man with a badge and no closure might do: he got smart. Installed a tracker on her phone. Set up location alerts. Told himself it was just paranoia. Until one night, the red dot on her GPS blinked to life: La Quinta Inn, room 204. He parked across the street and watched. Saw Vonny's car. Saw her silhouette in the window. And in that moment, everything went still. He didn't burst in. Didn't scream. Didn't fight. Lemarcus didn't move a muscle. Just sat there, hands gripping the steering wheel, eyes locked on Betrayal playing out like a movie. Something inside him shifted that night. Broke. And not with noise, but silence. That cold, Calculating silence that only comes when love dies and revenge is born. Lemarcus didn't cry. Didn't rage. He went home, took off his uniform, and began to plan. Slow. Methodical. Precise. March 2nd, 2023. The sky was gray, heavy with rain that hadn't fallen yet, just holding tension in the air, like it knew what was coming. Lemarcus Holt stared at his phone, thumb hovering over Vonny's name in his contacts. He didn't hesitate. He called. Voice steady. Words rehearsed. Yo, bro. I need to see you. Vonny didn't question it. What's good? Lemarcus told him there was a local investor trying to start a new label. Said they needed someone with street credibility and someone with legal oversight. Said it could be big. Bigger than anything Baton Rouge had seen in years. Vonny didn't hesitate either. Say less. Where we meetin'? Lemarcus gave him the address, the old Lincoln Rec Center. Long since abandoned. Boards on the windows. Graffiti on the walls. The place where they learned how to hoop, how to fight, how to dream. That dusty gym was sacred to them. Childhood memories still lived in the cracks of its wooden floors. So Vonny showed up. He came alone, wearing a gray hoodie, chains tucked in like always when he didn't want to draw attention. He dapped Lemarcus up without a second thought, still smiling, still calling him brother. That gym was colder than either of them remembered. Echoed with every step like it was holding its breath. They stood beneath the broken scoreboard, the ghost of their youth flickering all around them. They talked. For 23 minutes. No yelling. No guns drawn. Just two men, two lives, unraveling in real time. Lemarcus asked about Atlanta. Asked about Marletta. His voice stayed flat, emotionless, but his eyes burned. Vonny tried to keep it cool, tried to laugh it off. We too grown to be beefin' over no woman, he said, stepping closer. You my brother. Ain't no chick worth losing this. He moved in for a hug. But Lemarcus didn't move. He leaned forward and whispered, you didn't just take a woman, you took my life. And then. 3 shots. One to the chest, stopping Vonny mid-step. One to the neck, shattering the words before they could leave his lips. One right through the eye, erasing every memory, every mixtape, every childhood game of 21 they ever played. Vonny dropped like silence. Lemarcus didn't panic. Didn't flee. He stood over the body for a moment, looking down like he was still waiting for Vonny to get up, crack a joke, make it all feel unreal again. But Vonny didn't move. Lemarcus pulled out his phone. Dialed 911. Voice calm, hands steady. Officer involved shooting. Suspect attempted to attack me. I fired in self-defense. Need backup. He gave the address, stood by the body, weapon holstered. But what Lemarcus didn't know, was that his body cam, usually clipped to his chest but that night hidden under his jacket, had been running the whole time. The entire conversation. The entire execution. Every lie. Every breath. Every bullet. The truth has a way of clawing its way to the surface, loud, ugly, undeniable. And in Lemarcus Holt's case, it screamed from the playback of a body cam he forgot was running. At first, the scene looked like a classic tragedy. An officer calls 911, claims self-defense. A man is dead. Lemarcus told the responding officers that Javontay reached for something, that there was a flash of motion, a threat. He said he had no choice. He came at me, Lemarcus insisted, voice still calm, like he was reciting scripture. I was scared for my life. But within hours, that story started to crumble. Javontay had no weapon. Not a knife, not a gun, not even a clenched fist. His hands were clean, literally. No gunpowder residue, no bruises, no defensive wounds. Just a phone in his pocket, a wallet, and the dream of a fresh start that never came. The body cam footage changed everything. Investigators retrieved it the next morning. Hidden beneath Lemarcus's jacket, it had recorded every word, every breath, every crack in his voice. They heard it all. They heard the lies. The calm voice inviting Vonny to a business meeting. The 23 minutes of conversation that slowly twisted from reminiscing to quiet accusation. They heard Vonny say, "We too grown to be beefin' over no woman," with a nervous chuckle. They heard him say, "I love you, bruh," right before stepping in for a hug. And they heard Lemarcus whisper it, the sentence that cut deeper than the bullets. "This is what you get, nigga, for fucking my life." Pop pop pop. That was it. No scuffle. No fight for survival. Just cold-blooded execution. When the footage made its way up the chain of command, everything stopped. Lemarcus was still at the station, sitting at his desk like nothing happened, writing a report as clinical as a grocery list. But once the evidence came in, he was cuffed in silence. No resistance. No outburst. Just that same blank stare, as if he knew his time was up. He was charged with first-degree murder before midnight. And then the world reacted. News outlets exploded. Beloved rap star slain by childhood friend. Cop-turned-killer murders Baton Rouge icon. Comment sections lit up with rage, grief, confusion. Some people said Lemarcus snapped. Others said he planned it all along. There were conspiracy threads, amateur detectives, podcast episodes within days. Some folks defended Lemarcus, said betrayal makes men crazy. Called him a victim of heartbreak, of toxic masculinity, of a city that breaks everybody eventually. But the majority weren't buying it. Vonny Vibes had been a symbol, a voice for the voiceless. A kid who made it out and brought hope back with him. His fans turned mourning into fire. Candlelight vigils turned into protests. Old lyrics of his about love and loyalty were quoted like gospel. And Marletta? She vanished. Deleted all her socials. Didn't show up to the funeral. Last anyone saw of her was a grainy photo at the Greyhound station 3 days after the shooting, a duffel bag slung over her shoulder, eyes hidden behind oversized sunglasses. Her name stayed on every tongue, her image plastered across TikToks and Twitter threads with captions like, "This the woman they killed for," and "She was sleeping with a legend and engaged to a lunatic." Meanwhile, old videos resurfaced, clips of the three of them laughing at barbecues, rapping together in the studio, side by side like a modern-day triangle of loyalty. But now every laugh looked like a lie. Every smile like a setup. And every hug like a countdown. The city of Baton Rouge wasn't just mourning a rapper. It was mourning the death of brotherhood. Of trust. Of a story that could have ended in legacy, but ended in blood. The trial of Lemarcus DeShawn Holt wasn't just a legal proceeding, it was a reckoning. Baton Rouge came to a standstill. Schools whispered about it. Barbershops debated it. Every pew, every porch, every podcast, everyone had an opinion. Some still clung to the image of Lemarcus, the clean cop with a church-going heart. Others saw him for what he had become, a calculated killer hiding behind a badge and a Bible. But nothing stirred the courtroom more than the moment Marletta took the stand. She stepped up in heels that clicked like a metronome of tension, her head held high, lips painted red, not the shade of seduction, but war. She looked straight at Lemarcus, no tears, no flinching. Just the weight of every secret they shared stretched across the courtroom like barbed wire. She spoke of the miscarriage first. Said Lemarcus didn't hold her that night. Didn't cry with her. Didn't speak. Just sat at the edge of the bed polishing his service weapon, muttering scriptures under his breath. Said he'd grown colder after that. Accused her of being cursed. Of taking the one thing he'd been waiting on to feel whole. Then came the emotional abuse. The tracking apps. The late-night interrogations. His silence that felt louder than screams. She said she started feeling like a prisoner. Like she'd died months before Vonny ever kissed her. When she mentioned Vonny, her voice broke, just for a second. He made me feel alive again, she said, tears finally surfacing. He listened to me. He didn't treat me like property. He saw me. She admitted to the affair without shame. Said it started on a rainy night when she and Vonny had run into each other at a pop-up health fair. Said he hugged her, and she just didn't want to let go. They kept it a secret because they feared Lemarcus, not because they felt what they had was wrong. She ended her testimony with a chilling detail. I begged him to leave Baton Rouge, she said, her voice hollow. I told him this city would kill him. I just didn't know it would be Lemarcus pulling the trigger. Then came the prosecution's masterstroke, the body cam footage. It played without edits, echoing off the courtroom walls like a ghost replaying its death. The jury watched Lemarcus's calmness, his control, his dead eyes. They heard Vonny's last words, "We too grown to be beefin' over no woman," and the whisper that followed, "This is what you get, nigga, for fucking my life." Gasps scattered across the gallery like gunfire. A woman fainted. Vonny's mother sobbed so hard she had to be escorted out. Lemarcus sat there, unbothered. No flinch. No regret. Just the same stone-faced stare that had followed him since his arrest. Then came the defense. They painted Lemarcus as a man broken by trauma, by betrayal, by a lifetime of suppression. They talked about childhood poverty, systemic racism, the pressures of policing your own people. They brought in a psychologist who claimed Lemarcus suffered a temporary psychotic break, that he wasn't in control of his actions the moment he pulled the trigger. But the jury didn't buy it. Not when they had the tape. Not when they had his voice saying it, "You took my life." After 5 days of testimony, it took the jury only 2 hours to reach a verdict. Guilty. First-degree murder. When the judge read the sentence, life without the possibility of parole, Lemarcus blinked once, slowly, like waking from a dream he didn't want to admit he had. Still, no emotion. No apology. No final words. The courtroom exhaled. Outside, crowds gathered. Some cheering. Some crying. Some just standing in silence, holding candles that flickered like the city's last bit of innocence burning away. Javontay, Vonny Vibes, Hargrove was gone. His music, immortal. His legacy, complicated. And Lemarcus Holt, once a symbol of hope, would now die behind bars, not as a protector, but as a cautionary tale. The fall of a brother. The end of a bond that once stood as a beacon in a broken place. In the end, the trial didn't just convict a man. It exposed the fragile line between love and envy, loyalty and possession, brotherhood and betrayal. Death didn't silence Javontay, Vonny Vibes, Hargrove, it immortalized him. In the days after his murder, the city of Baton Rouge felt like it had stopped breathing. Street murals sprang up overnight, spray cans painting halos over eyes that once saw too much. Fans lit candles outside the very La Quinta Inn where his secret unraveled. And when his final album dropped, Dead Poet Society, the world leaned in to listen. It debuted at number 2 on Billboard. But in the streets that raised him, it hit number 1 in the soul. Every track felt like a warning. Every bar read like prophecy. People didn't just play the songs, they studied them. Dismantled verses. Decoded metaphors. Swore they heard Lemarcus's name tucked between rhyme schemes. It was as if Vonny had seen it all coming, but didn't know how to stop it. Or maybe, didn't want to believe it. The song that hit the hardest. Best Man Blues. Recorded just 1 week before the bullets flew. A badge can't hide a coward, even when he smiles. Betrayal ain't from strangers, it's from ones you known for miles. Fans posted that line everywhere. Hashtags. Tattoos. Graffiti. Teachers printed it on classroom doors. Mothers quoted it in church. It became a truth too heavy to ignore. Because it wasn't just about Vonny and Lemarcus anymore, it was about everybody who ever loved someone they shouldn't have trusted. Marletta never gave an interview. Never returned to the hospital she worked at. But her silence said enough. Her name trended next to his, woven into the mythos, the tragedy, the unanswered questions. People debated her role. Was she the match or just the flame? Did she save Vonny, or did she doom him? And Lemarcus? He became a pariah. His name erased from precinct plaques. His social media scrubbed by shame. People who once shook his hand now spit at the memory of it. Some argued he was a broken man cracked by betrayal. Others said he was always a narcissist in uniform, hiding malice behind morality. The tragedy of Vonny Vibes wasn't just that he died. It was that he died believing Brotherhood could survive betrayal. That loyalty could outlast lust. That history was enough to protect him from harm. But as Baton Rouge now knows too well, the sharpest knives are held by the hands you once called family. So now the city walks quieter. Smiles shorter. Trust runs thinner. And every time someone plays Best Man Blues, they wonder. How many people are living next to friends who are secretly plotting their downfall? How many Lemarcuses walk among us, silent, smiling, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? Vonny's voice still echoes through speakers and hearts. But behind every verse, behind every beat, is a ghost with a message. Watch who you call brother. This story isn't just about a murder, it's about how love, fame, betrayal, and buried pain can turn brotherhood into bloodshed. Javontay and Lemarcus were bonded by everything, except truth. So what do you think? Did Lemarcus plan it all along, or did he break in the moment? Can you ever really know your best friend? If this story shook you, hit like and subscribe for more where loyalty cuts deep and secrets kill.